Hello, booktube. I'm Scott,
I'm now.
and we're going to talk about our December TBR
Well, Scott's December TBR.
because you're mood reading.
I am mood reading. You'll get an idea of what I pick from books we've talked about earlier, and also we've got another haul video coming up.
We do, but essentially, what you're doing is you've been in a bit of a reading slump. You have decided to break that reading slump by reading as many books as possible in as short a time as possible by reading short books.
Yeah, but also by being completely led by like my inner lizard brain and just
You have a lizard brain in your head?
and completely just going by instinct and only reading what really takes my fancy right this very instant.
Yeah.
Not
Like,
sticking with anything that's giving me the shits.
being very fickle.
Fickle.
Embracing your fickleness. I like it. So, for December, my plan,
Is a plan.
it's a plan, well, my idea, rather, was there's been like a whole bunch of books throughout the year that I've been like wanting to get to, but I never got around to it because a readathon came along and distracted me or whatever.
Oh, because of your inner fickle brain.
Because of my inner fickle brain. My lizard brain took control. It was like some sort of brain parasite thing that... Yeah.
I feel like we could write some sci-fi.
Yeah. Do you reckon that would like get me off like a murder charge from the cops?
A lizard brain?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't think a judge would believe that. Anyway, I have written a list of all the books I am considering reading in the...
Sorry. I'm aware I spilled food on my top. I'm sorry, everybody. I look like a grot.
And you
noticed.
you pointed it out.
Well, if they hadn't noticed by now, then
I could have done something funky in the editing.
you're gonna like stick a flower on my boob.
Yeah, I was going to pick some obscure celebrity and just stick their face
As a brooch.
as a brooch over the top of it, like Nellie Bly's head
Yeah, okay.
over the top of your boobs.
That's what I expect.
You want a Nellie Bly head over the top of your boobs for this entire video
To cover the little food
to cover
stain
the
I've
grot
got
mark.
on.
Okay. I think we can do that.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I won't at all make it some cricketer or something just to upset you.
You will not.
I don't know. It depends who does the editing.
Oh, he's trying to make... I see now.
Yeah. All right.
What are you reading,
What am I
Scott?
reading? Look, I intended to read this book in December before the Booker Prize was announced. It was always my intention. I wanted to read it in October, but there was Victober. I wanted to read it in November. It was non-fiction November. So I'm going to read Shuggy Bane.
Shuggy!
Right? I wanted to read it already.
Yeah.
I also want to read The Shadow King. I have a copy of The Shadow King sitting there, tempting. You know, if I was organised, I would have gone from my bedside table where it's waiting to be the next one I pick up
Yeah.
and be able to, like, do that.
But you're not.
But I'm not. I've also started an ebook, The Clergyman's Daughter by George Orwell. I basically have been reading this, like, while I have been waiting for things. Like, this is I didn't have a book with me and I wanted to read because I'm waiting.
Because I'm bored.
Like, yeah, like I saw the physio the other day because I had a problem with my hip and I had to wait 10 minutes. So I read my ebook.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So I've been reading that and I'm like, I should actually, like, put aside a bit of time and
Finish it.
because if I read it every time I'm waiting in a doctor's surgery or something or for coffee, this will not get done and I will not have a clue what's going on.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. Now, I have been meaning to get to some Margaret Atwood for a long time.
So Maggie?
Yeah, I've been meaning to get some Maggie. I am a little bit ashamed to say The Blind Assassin and Alias Grace have not ever been touched by me.
They're both very good.
And they're both like they are, other than Handmaids and the Oryx and Crake series, they sort of make up the quadtumblant of... Is that a word? Did I make that up?
You made it up.
Oh, what's the word?
4.
The 4. So, like, the Trinity is 3. Is there the Quinity? Yeah.
No, because Quinn is 5.
Quinn is
numpty.
5. The quadity of Atwood novels. Actually, Ulrich and Craig was a sequel, so it'll be the Sexity.
5. I said 6. Anyway.
The Hexity. Anyway.
What else are we reading?
I would like to read the last Donna Tartt book on my list, The Little Friend.
The Little Friend.
I have heard good things about it. I believe there was a readathon hosted by Kieran, who has excellent things to say about this Donna Tartt book. And it has been like flirting with me ever since I finished The Goldfinch, really.
It's been flirting with
It
you.
has been like batting its
I feel
eyelids.
that if you can say that an inanimate object is flirting with you,
then I may be...
a little bit problematic.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
The book was asking for it, I swear, officer.
What was the book wearing?
What's next?
You've made me lose my spot.
Oh, it's my fault!
It is.
It's my fault.
It is. I had decided at some point that I would read every Discworld novel that there was, knowing that that was a huge task and
Sounds
would take
like
me
a crazy
forever.
task, yeah.
But knowing that it didn't really matter because, and I don't mean to be like callousy, but Terry Pratchett's dead and he's not writing any more of them, and I can take my time.
Yeah, okay.
For some crazy reason, I'm reading them in order, even though there are like multiple
no
different
order.
storylines. Like there is actually, you can read it out of order, but chronologically, it's not necessarily in order.
Anyway.
I'm up to Weird Sisters. I intend to have a chuckle at some comedy fantasy satire.
Sounds great.
American Psycho. This, I've definitely heard that this is a Marmite book. I even suspect that the author might be problematic, but I don't actually know for sure. Somebody in the comments will be saying horrible things about Bret Easton Ellis. Bret Ellis Easton?
I suspect you're correct. But I do remember just Slog.
Slog, you've read it?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to read this book at the same time as I read a Donna Tartt novel because I didn't know this, but they went to university together. They were in the same class. Well, I did know it because I said it, but before I knew it, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was somehow appropriate to read them together. Yeah, because I have never read a book by an author who was friends with another author.
What is next on your list that so we can move on?
So we can move on, so we can keep going. Roots by Alex Hale.
Ooh, I want to read that.
Yeah. I'm trying to be conscious that I read at least one book by a black author each month, which I think is a bit pathetic, to be honest, but it's much better than reading none.
I mean, it's one better than reading none. I don't think you can call that much, but...
As a multiple, it's... Yeah. But my point is, if I read one, then hopefully that at some point I will start to pick them up more naturally.
Yeah.
Because I never made a decision not to read them, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, this is like I don't want to try, but I want to do it. So this is the most half-assed way I can think of to try and actually improve.
Sounds like that's gonna not be effective. But anyway, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Rohit and Mystery, a fine balance. I don't know if BookTube knows, like, there's like a bookish meme that goes around Facebook. The BBC thinks you've only read 6 of these books. So at some point, somebody sent me and tagged me in that meme. And I had just started reading and I had read about 6 of those books. Now I have read 95 of those books.
Yes.
I have used it as a reading list at some point.
I
But
see.
I have never got to A Fine Balance, which is one of those books on that list. So I will make that 96 on that list.
Right.
I forget what I'm missing. I'm missing A Suitable Boy, The Bible, The Da Vinci Code, and one other book that is clearly memorable.
You don't need to read the Da Vinci Code.
It's trash.
Trash.
Yeah, well, we'll see. At the start of the year, your bestie, Kate, was reading The Plague by Albert Camus.
Yes.
I've read one Camus book before, The Stranger.
Yes.
I didn't like it. I have heard, after reading the translator's notes, I believe what I didn't like was the translator.
Translation.
So I'm going to give Camus another shot with a different translator. That's
Sounds
my
like a
plan. I've heard nothing but good things from one very specific section of BookTube about Where the Crawdads Sing. I have not heard anything from the... I have...
Yeah, I'm really interested in your opinion on this because I feel like this is exactly the kind of hyped book that turns out to be utter shit.
It's definitely going to be one of two. Like, I can't see this being a... Yeah, it's all right, 3 stars.
No,
like,
I think it's going to be utter shit, and I'll be really interested to see what your outcome
But
is
I'm
with it.
always happy to take a risk to pick up utter shit because sometimes these books turn out to be Eleanor Oliphant.
It might be amazing, and if it's amazing, if you find it to be amazing, I'll read it. But
Yeah, I just want it. Like, the thing is, I look for like conflicting people on BookTube to agree with books.
yeah,
And
but
I've never had a conflict. I've had all of one corner of BookTube,
yeah, but
but never.
the snobbier corner is
I haven't had, the snobbier corner, exactly.
is quiet on this front, and I think that's because they're not reading it.
But
And I
I
think
have-
they're not reading it because they suspect what I suspect.
Yeah, I think
I think that they suspect that it's overhyped shit.
I think you're right.
But we'll see.
I think-
because that's not always true. Just because.
And I read literary fiction, and I enjoy literary fiction, but I enjoy genre fiction as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think there's a lot of booktubers like that too.
Yes.
Pachinko by Min Jin Lee.
Oh, that's been on my I want it, read it list for ages.
Now, I know nothing about the author, so if I'm completely incorrect when I say this, I apologise. But I may delay reading this book by 1 month because in 2021 we're going to be doing the readathon that...
Oh, the translation
readathon with a whole bunch of booktubers, of which I only can remember Stephanie from Time to Read.
Yes.
Where they basically pick 3 countries and they read a translated work. And the first month they have picked Japan.
Yes.
And I don't know where Min Jin Lee is from. And
You might be correct with the Japanese assumption.
I might be correct.
So that might be January rather than December. But if
yeah.
it's not, it's in December.
But I actually, looking at the name, it sounds like it may be more Korean or Chinese because of the short. It doesn't quite sound right, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll check it out because I'm completely ignorant. You are reading this right now, so this is one of the reasons why I'm going to read This Is How You Lose the Time War.
Yeah.
You're reading it. I like to read what you're reading because we can do a book review about it. We can discuss it.
I can throw it at your head.
I mean, if you wanted to do that, I don't have to have read it first.
No, but it helps.
I think it's a bit silly that I point that out because there'll be more violence in our relationship. Yeah. All right. I'm getting towards the end of this long list of books that I will not finish in December because Christmas will happen and stuff. Hardy. I'm going to read The Hand of Ethelberta. This is apparently Hardy being funny.
Just a hand.
Just a hand? Yeah. Maybe he's been funny. Maybe it's decapitated and it runs around like...
Do you remember that?
Like Cousin It. Not Cousin It. Yeah, Cousin It from the Addams Family.
Thing from the Addams
Thing
Family.
from the Addams Family.
Do you remember that play we went and saw?
About handing and spoken.
Yeah, that was good. Sorry.
That's not very good content.
Not at all.
It was a satire on racism about people who had their hand cut off because of race hate reasons in Spokane, Texas. Some state in America where they're a bit backwards with their opinion on black people.
Yeah, it was good theatre.
It was good theatre. Great satire. Black comedy. Anyway. So that's Hardy doing a comedy. Hardy doesn't do comedies. I'm curious.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Black Leopard, Red Wolf, Marlon James. I have read A Brief History of the Seven Killings. Absolutely love A Brief History of the Seven Killings. It was just a knockout, brilliant book. I've never had a book. I've had books that I think are of the same quality of that. I've never had a book do that as well as it's done. Like, it blew me away. And this is apparently like Game of Thrones set in Africa, written by an author who is...
Can actually write.
I mean, I've not read George R.R. Martin, but I do suspect that there will be a difference of quality between them, and Marlon James is just amazing.
Yeah.
I have had The Secret Adversary by Agatha Christie on my TBR a few times this year. It is the first in the Tommy and Tuppence detective series, which is her third most famous detective series after...
Which is to say not so much.
which is to say, once you've read Pyro and Marple, you don't care about them.
You've probably read enough Agatha Christie.
Yeah, but... my mum keeps saying, have you read any Tommy and Tuppence, when she talks about Agatha Christie? And I'm like, no. She's like, read Tommy and Tuppence, it's good. Also, there's significantly less Tommy and Tuppence books than there is Hercule Poirot.
Also, reading to make your mum happy is adorable.
Yeah. Well, she likes to read, and there's not a lot of authors that we...
connect on.
Yeah, so Agatha Christie is good. Finally, I would like to, and this is... after listing, I think there's 15 books. Some of them, like Black Leopard, Red Wolf, and Roots, are like
just
chunky. And a Donna Tartt novel as well. Like, so, you know.
This is not getting achieved in December, but we'll pretend.
But I would love to finish The Wheel of Time, which is only the final 4 books. I would love to just have that series be done and dusted. And...
What if I just declared that the last 4 books were no longer part of the Wheel of Time series?
No, I need the story to end. I need to know what happens. Okay. I'm invested in the story. I also have heard that at this point, I mean, his writing has really dipped the last few books.
Because he's bored.
Well, I think what happened is that partway through writing this series, he got diagnosed with like a blood disease, Robert Jordan, and he got a lot of pressure from his fans when he came out and said he was terminally ill to finish the series. And then as like a way of like not dealing with it, you can see him really pad these books out, and you know, when you realise that his editor was his wife, you know, he's sort of like, well...
Yeah.
But what happens is that I got one more book, and then he dies, and then Brandon Sanderson, who I've never heard of before, who is Brandon Sanderson? Yeah, but he's some guy. He took over writing it, which was his big break, and apparently it gets good when he starts to write.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my TBR. And you'll get a mood read.
I'm going to wing it.
You got to wing it. Yeah. So...
What are you reading?
Have you read any of these books? Should I waste my time and...
What should he cull? Because, let's be fair, he's not getting through that whole list.
No, don't tell me what I should cull. Tell me what I should definitely read.
What should he read first?
What should I definitely read? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. And make sure if you're new here that you hit the subscribe button because we're awesome and you want to talk to us more.
And I'm not sure yet, but what did you think of the celebrities I put in front of Nelle's stain on her chest?
See ya.
Right. Bye.